Hey guys, Ralph here. True Power, Trumpet Fitness, and welcome to Terrific Thursday. It is raining like you wouldn't believe. It has since last night. Lord knows our reservoirs are full. But anyway, you didn't come here to get weather in Connecticut. You know I've been infatuated with lower lips. I find it fascinating. I just really do. I think it is so telling about chops. Now, I didn't know it back then. When I come back this and look back at things, it's like a neon light. Okay, so you saw the thumbnail. Vacchiano, lower lip, loaded question, man, loaded question. What's going on with that? Anyway, I think I have some insights into it, so I'll let you know. I played a little bit. Let's see what we got. Anyway, hellacious, double C's, wide open, effortless, centered, pure, and drop right down to the Carmen solo from Bizet's Carmen and the low F. Now, something that Vacchiano could not do, and I will explain why. He should have been able to do it. Now, here's the thing. I don't spend a lot of time addressing trolls. I know when you put yourself out there on YouTube and you're going to, my message goes all over the world. I'm selling books all over the world. Mouthpieces, giving lessons, it's wonderful. But it does attract some people that undesirable. But it is a handful lately that I have to address. Okay? And it's not even that they're actually that vile. I just swear word, boom, you're off. But I had to, there was 3 of them that I had to delete. Quite frankly, I was trying to be a nice guy because they were making fools of themselves. 2 of them actually used their name. The other one was hiding behind a screen name. Duh. But they were, I was trying not to embarrass them. Okay? But without using their names, I'll explain. Now, they were saying that I didn't know what I was talking about, or I was lying, they implied, about Vacchiano. Okay? Now, let me explain. Vacchiano is my uncle. My great aunt Annie Salamoni married a Vacchiano. And he has been referred to in my home as Uncle Willie until the day he died. He is the one that brought me to New York. I was all set to go to Ithaca College, and a bunch of his cronies that I played with on jobs around Portland, we both lived in Portland, Maine, the bands, the Portland Symphony, and all that sort of stuff, called him up, talked to him many times, said, "Look, this guy is fabulous. You gotta get him to New York." Again, he called my father and said, "Does Ralph want to study with me?" My father's, "Duh." Of course. He says, "Okay, Juilliard, Manhattan are full. I can't get him in there, but there is a couple spots open at Manus. If he can get the next," and I did. And I actually played that solo from Carmen, believe it or not, on the audition. Got in, and the rest is history. Studied with him for 4 years, solid, and off and on, go over to his home, make me some tea, sit down in his basement until the day he died. He would often call the house, and tell my parents how I was doing. Wanted me to transpose a little better, not worry about the high notes, but okay. And I went to his funeral, and I did not play with the trumpet ensemble because I was crying like a baby. Anyway, to think that I don't know that much about Vacchiano is just showing your ignorance. Now, it all pertains to his lower lip. Okay? Now, if you look at his lower lip, you see how stretched out it is. It's completely 100% stretched out. Okay? You look at Herseth's, there's the difference. That's why Herseth could play down there and Vacchiano could not. Now, here's the deal, and all of you naysayers, this is not a hatchet job. He told me this himself. We discussed it when I went over that solo. He could not believe that I could do it on the mouthpiece I was playing and all this sort of stuff. He had all the other students, including himself, pull his slides out to trumpet in A and play it as written. I just transposed the B flat because the low F came out so easy. Now, a couple guys said, well, if you listen to this recording, you can see that he did it. Guys, John Ware and Nathan Prager played those notes. And if you knew anything about orchestral playing, you would know that that's not a hatchet job on anybody. That is business as usual in an orchestra. You don't think Chikowitz picked up the pieces for the great Herseth every now and then and go right down the list? That's not being rude. That's not being disrespectful. If you go on the internet, and you three clowns know who you are, go on the internet and watch Vacchiano, Petrushka with Leonard Bernstein. Nathan Prager is sitting right next to him, covering half the notes of the ballerina solo and also some in the lento cantabile. It is right there for you to see. And that is not saying Vacchiano couldn't play it. I'm not saying that at all. He was probably the greatest, up to that point, the greatest orchestral player of all time. He was a freaking genius. He came to New York as a full ride as an accountant at St. John's. He was all set to go into accounting. His roommate said, you know what, they're auditioning up at Juilliard. What the heck? So he just dragged his trumpet out, and he goes up and takes the audition. Needless to say, he got in. 2 years later, he had the Philharmonic, but the Metropolitan Opera principal trumpet as well. And he accepted the Metropolitan first before he took the audition, and the artistic director said, look, I'm going to let you out. The Philharmonic's a better job. Go to it. And the rest is history. But that is the ability he had. He was so, and teaching, forget it. He was so far beyond anybody else at the time. An absolute legend. And I've said this a zillion times. To think that I am disrespecting him is ridiculous. Now, we did not see eye to eye on the mouthpieces. And I'm not going to get into it. 50% of his students didn't agree eye to eye with his mouthpieces. John Ware and Mel Broyles didn't agree with his views on mouthpieces. That's not a hatchet job. That's a disagreement with a guy who I admired more than you can believe. Now, enough said. Trolls with their high school level talent do not deserve any more of my time or your time than that. But I just want to put that up front. Okay. Now, his bottom lip was stretched max. You look at it, and you compare it to God. Guys, you can see why he couldn't play the low notes, and I'll get to that in a second. Now, he told me, he told all the students, all you need is a high C. A high C on the C trumpet, a B-flat trumpet, a high C on the C, and a high C on the D trumpet. That's all you need, and he had those in abundance. Now, if you look at his top lip, which is very, very common with great players, the top lip is thick and full. That's why he could play all the high notes, up to the E. Mahler, Strauss, Wagner, he had it all. He played some of them on the D trumpet. It wasn't a real D trumpet. I mean, it was a modified bell and backbore. I mean, please, okay? But it's the lower register. He could literally not play a low F sharp. And it pissed him off terribly that I could. Okay? Now, if you ever studied with him, you would know that when he went below a low C, he would start leaking out the sides. I mean, spit is flying all over the place. John Ware told me that, as a joke, he wanted to bring in an umbrella once, but he knew Vacchiano wouldn't appreciate it. But, it was that extreme. Now, everybody thought at the time, including myself, studying him, that that was relaxation. It wasn't. It was tension, looking back at it. Now, completely relax your lips and try to make it leak out the side. It's almost impossible. Now, stretch your lips if this flies everywhere. That's what's tension. And if you look at the stretched lips, that's what it was. Now, even on those enormous bathtub Bach mouthpieces that he was using, that is why he couldn't play the low notes. And he needed Johnny Ware to do it. Now, if you look, and I don't have the pictures here, but if you look at Johnny Ware and Nathan Prager's lips, thick bottom lip. It's as simple as that. Now, I will say this. Stretched, the bottom lip stretched the way it was, you're only going to be able to perform like that to that level on a Bach mouthpiece. I fully admit that. We want to keep the lips locked in that position. The Bach mouthpiece does not allow you to do it. You collapse into the cup, but there's a good news and bad news. The bad news is it allows you to collapse into the cup. The good news is it allows you to play collapsed. That is, and his extreme genius, of all the transpositions, he could play anything in the repertoire, on the orchestra, anything on any trumpet. So he wakes up one day and it wasn't happening on the C, he just take the D. If you want to. Okay. Now, again, that low F I could play like I just did, relaxed. Okay? He had everybody else and all his students and himself pulling the slides out to make it trumpet in A and play it as written. I said, look, Mr. Vacchiano, okay, it's easier because I don't have to, transpose trumpet in A. But every note is out of tune. I'm struggling with the slides are flying back and forth to make it. Why don't I just play the low F? How do you do that, Salamone? I didn't know at the time. Okay? Now, again, Mr. Vacchiano, I love you. Always have, always had the highest regard. Vacchiano, Mel, and Jerry were the three most influential people in my musical career, and I owe them my musical life. I didn't agree with the mouthpieces. Lots of people didn't. I'm not unique in that regard. Now, were there people that were more closer to him than me? Absolutely. Mel was like a son. Catala, another one. We can go right down the list. But lots of people more closer to him than I was. But I know what I'm talking about. I was not lying or trying to embellish to make my theory sound right. That, folks, is a fact. And if you knew anything about orchestral playing, playing a note here, a note there is done all the time. To think that I'm slamming them doesn't know what you're talking about. And that recording you clowns are talking about, that was Nate Prager or John Ware. I'm not sure which one it was. That's it. Anyway, eat and drink your fruits and vegetables. I will. Have a great day. Keep hydrated in this heat. Just about the whole country is burning up. Keep hydrated and live your life with true power. Love you all.